Good evening. Prime Minister Mark Carney was side by side with U.S. President Donald Trump at the G7 summit in Alberta today, but that doesn't mean they're on the same page. While Trump appears to be holding out hope for a new trade agreement, he also says Canada and the U.S. have different concepts about what a deal could look like. Al Sweeney has our top story tonight. Al.
Matt, Trump says he expects a lot from the meeting with Carney and says there's nothing that would hold up a trade deal. But that may not mean he's backing down completely on steel tariffs. Prime Minister Carney welcomed Trump to Canada, saying the U.S. plays a critical role in the G7.
The G7 is nothing without U.S. leadership, and your personal leadership.
As the summit host, Carney stressed the need for trade partners like Canada and the U.S. to work together.
And in a world where shocks flow across the borders, that resilience comes from cooperation.
And Trump was promising cooperation with Canada, even though Canada has been one of his targets.
We're going to be talking about trade and many other things.
Trump called himself a tariff person and noted Carney doesn't share his liking for tariffs, but he expressed confidence Canada and the U.S. can reach a deal.
I think we're going to accomplish a lot, and I expect to, and I think our primary focus will be trade and trade with Canada, and I'm sure we can work something out.
Yeah.
But with the U.S. imposing steel tariffs on Canada, McMaster economics professor Colin Mang says even with a deal, some of Trump's tariffs may be here to stay, similar to a deal China made with the U.S. last week.
So Trump does seem to be in the mood to make deals with other countries, but his comments today that he is a tariff man does suggest that any deal that he makes with Canada is likely still going to include some tariffs on at least a few items.
There was no mention so far at the G7 of Canada as the 51st state, as Trump's Air Force One landed in Canada, and some people in Hamilton said the country shouldn't be so welcoming to someone who wants to take it over.
I think he should not be welcomed into Canada.
I guess they're trying to keep the peace, but don't think they need to.
Should they be welcoming him to Canada?
No.
Protesters in Calgary near the G7 were skeptical about Trump and the other leaders.
He has not acted as a respectful ally to date, and that's a huge concern as a Canadian. They have spent hundreds and millions of dollars to host this event at a time when there is a cost of living crisis in Canada.
And while Trump was talking trade cooperation, he took a shot at former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, along with former President Obama.
The G7 used to be the G8. Barack Obama and a person named Trudeau didn't want to have Russia in, and I would say that was a mistake, because I think you wouldn't have a war right now if you had Russia in, and you wouldn't have a war right now if Trump were president 4 years ago.
Actually, Trudeau was not prime minister in 2014 when Russia was suspended from the G8. That was Prime Minister Harper. But Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin was insulted and wouldn't have started the war with Ukraine if he was still in the G8, now the G7.